Hello and welcome to DFS Coach Talk. I am your host, Josh Davis, also known as Crash, and I am here with Steve, aka Miller Time, talking about Week 4 in the NFL. Steve, how's your week been? I haven't seen you in a little while, so how's it been going for you so far? Were you able to profit anything last week?
Last week I was actually in Hawaii, and there's no gambling.
Oh wow,
Yeah. So it was one of the weeks that I kind of took off, but I'm looking to get back at it this week.
Yeah, for sure. Me too. I think we got a pretty solid slate. There's quite a few plays that I like on this slate. So if you're new to the channel, if you would give us a like and then hit subscribe, and after you've done those two things, if you would hit the alarm bell, that will let you know when our newest podcast has gone live. If you'd like to join DFS Coach Talk, you can join us on Twitter. You can send me a DM, or you can send me an email at jpdavis1982@gmail.com. It's a great time to join. Right now, we have our NFL kickoff special. We still have that going. So for just $45, you're going to get the entire NFL season, the first 5 months of the NBA, and the rest of the Major League Baseball season, which is just basically the playoffs after today. So that'll get you all the way through February 12th, the day after the Super Bowl. So we would love to have you join us at DFS Coach Talk. Let's go ahead and look at the games one by one, starting with the first game. Well, obviously the first game has already started. It's Atlanta and Jacksonville. It's not been much of a game so far. But then we have Miami and Buffalo. Buffalo is actually favored, even though Miami's undefeated. Buffalo's favored by 2.5, has a 145 favorite, minus 145. This game has the highest over-under of the slate, so that's definitely a game that we'll want to keep an eye on. Then we have another game at 1 p.m. Eastern, the Minnesota Vikings taking on the Carolina Panthers. The Vikings are favored by 5, minus 225 on the money line. 46.5 over under, 79 degrees, 8 mile an hour northeast winds, 71 degrees, 6 mile an hour west to southwest winds in Buffalo, by the way. And then we have the Denver Broncos taking on the Chicago Bears in Chicago. Denver's a -3 favorite, minus 170 on the money line, over under of 46.5, 75 degrees with 6 mile an hour southeast winds. The Baltimore Ravens taking on the Cleveland Browns, which we just learned recently that the Browns will be without Deshaun Watson. So that's something we're going to want to keep an eye on. This game has a very low over-under, projected at 38.5. Baltimore is a minus 1.5 favorite, minus 125 on the money line. 73 degrees, 6 mile an hour north winds. Then we have the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the Houston Texans. Pittsburgh is a -3 favorite, minus 150 on the money line, over under a 41.5. The game is indoors, so there's no weather. Next game is the Los Angeles Rams at the Indianapolis Colts. The Rams are minus a 1-point favorite. Then they have a minus 115 on the money line with an over under of 45. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are taking on the New Orleans Saints. They're in the Dome in New Orleans. New Orleans a minus 3.5 favorite. Over under of 40.5. There's no weather in that dome. Then the Washington Commanders are taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. Philadelphia is a 9-point favorite, I believe the highest on the slate. A minus 445 on the money line, 43 over under, and 76 degrees with 10 mile an hour winds blowing north to northeast. The warmest game of the day, I believe, is in Tennessee. Cincinnati Bengals taking on the Tennessee Titans. Cincinnati's a minus 2.5 favorite, has an over-under of 41.5. I believe this is a rematch of, was it 2 years ago that they played in the playoffs, Steve? I think it was. It wasn't last year, but the year before, right?
I think so.
Okay, yeah. And then we have the divisional matchup with the Las Vegas Raiders taking on the Los Angeles Chargers at 4:05 p.m. Eastern. Aiden O'Connell is starting for the Raiders, making his NFL debut, so that's going to be interesting. The Chargers are minus 6.5-point favorite, 48 over under, so the second highest projected scoring game on the slate. Then we have the New England Patriots taking on the Dallas Cowboys at 4:25 p.m. Eastern. Dallas a -6 favorite, 43 over under. The Arizona Cardinals taking on the San Francisco 49ers, also at 4:25 p.m. Eastern. There's the heaviest favorite on the slate, 14 favorite for San Francisco, -895 on the money line, 43.5 over under. Then the Kansas City Chiefs will take on the New York Jets tonight at MetLife Stadium. Kansas City is a -8 favorite, -420 on the money line, 41.5 over under, 71 degrees, 6-mile-an-hour winds blowing to the north. So any of these games in particular, Steve, that stand out to you from a fantasy standpoint?
Yeah, for certain players, I think the Cleveland Baltimore game is interesting because Watson's not playing. So I kind of look at those running backs on the Cleveland side. I think they're gonna run the ball probably 60 to 70% of the time. So someone like Jerome Ford or Pierre Strong or even Kareem Hunt could be in play depending on what your budget is for different positions. And I also I'm interested to see how O'Connell's going to play his first start. I think he's going to air out the ball more than Jimmy Garoppolo would. However, I think they'll dial back the playbook just to make it easier for him. But I am interested to see that Raiders-Chargers game this afternoon.
Do you think that'll hurt or help Davante Adams with, a different quarterback?
I'm not sure. So Davante Adams catches a lot of balls, deep balls, and Jimmy Garoppolo is just not the best at that. And Aiden O'Connell's more of that pocket passer with the big arm. So I actually I think this is going to benefit him, and hopefully he comes out strong and does well, and he keeps this job. I'd like to see this guy. I mean, I followed him when he was at Purdue.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I like him. I liked him in college. So let's hope he does well.
Yeah, for sure. And Davante Adams has been somebody that's pretty much always put up good numbers no matter who the quarterback was. So I would expect that to continue. I think that game, the Raiders and the Chargers is going to be the highest scoring game on the slate. We'll see what happens, but I think it'll be higher scoring than Buffalo, Miami, which I think Miami's going to regress offensively, especially after 70. I mean, they scored 70 points in the NFL against a Buffalo team that's pretty much, had their number. I think I saw they've won like 9 of the last 10 matchups. So, I think that's going to be a pretty lower scoring game than people expect. So that will lead us into our top plays. Who is your favorite pay up option at quarterback today?
Oh gosh. I don't know. You can go first, Josh. Who do you think?
Okay. I think as far as ownership goes, I think Josh Allen's going to be the highest owned, but I actually like Justin Herbert more than Josh Allen for paying up. I think that, like I said, that game I think is going to be the highest scoring game, has the second highest projected total already. And I just think that, Herbert's been playing really well. The Raiders defense has been struggling. They're going to be without some key guys. Obviously, they lost Chandler Jones. I don't know if you saw that or not, but they released him yesterday. So the Raiders, their defense will struggle. I know they don't have Austin Eckler and Mike Williams, but I still think Justin Herbert's a good enough quarterback that he can kind of overcome that. So I like Justin Herbert.
Yeah. So for me, it would be Tua. I was thinking we could have possibly stayed in the same game, but I think Tua and his weapons, it's and his accuracy, and him staying healthy. I think it's a road to success for him. Based off of his weapons, I just want a piece of that. I try to get a piece of every single part of that whole situation if I can. It's difficult because all those guys have a lot of money, but my pay up option is Tua.
Okay. And then for the value option at quarterback, I like Brock Purdy at home against the Cardinals. He's supposed to have Brandon Ayuk back in the lineup today. So he'll have plenty of weapons to choose to throw to today. And I think he's going to be lower owned, and he's pretty inexpensive on all three sites. So I particularly like his $5,900 price tag on DraftKings.
Mm-hmm. I like Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields.
I like Justin Fields. Yeah.
I think he's going to have a game today at home against the Broncos. I think he's going to probably rush for 100 yards and a touchdown, and I think he's going to do pretty well. They Chase Claypool's a healthy scratch today, so it looks like they're trying to make this locker room right. And I think this is really, it comes down to Justin Fields and making these plays happen. It's a big game for both these teams, right?
It is.
You know, the way Chicago's been playing, and the last week again with Miami destroying Buffalo like that, or Miami destroying the Broncos like that. I don't know. I think Justin Fields is going to surprise people today.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I'm answering a question here in the chat. They asked what game would be perfect for a game stack. I kind of like the Chargers and then running it back with Devontae Adams on the other side. But that's what I think I'm looking at. Yeah. Which game do you think you would look at for a game stack like that?
I like that one too. I like the Raiders Chargers. I like the receivers on both sides. I like the running back on the for obviously Josh Jacobs. I like either one of those quarterbacks, but I mean obviously I'd go with Herbert in this situation just based off of it's Justin Herbert.
Sure.
But even the tight ends are in play. So I like where you're at with that, Josh. I think that's
they're
the one.
The tight ends are very inexpensive in that game too. So that's another thing I like about that game. All right, so I'll let you lead off with this one. Who do you like for your running back, for your pay-up running back?
Pay-up running back, it's going to be Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
Deebo Samuel might be playing today, and even if he does play, or he's probably, even if he does play, he's probably going to have limited action. Arizona's not very good against the run, and Christian McCaffrey does what he does. Elijah Mitchell is not playing today, so I don't think he's gonna probably play 90% of the plays, I believe. So I like Christian McCaffrey as the pay-up option.
Yeah, I do too. I think he's going to be one of the higher owned players on the slate, but it's very, very deservedly so. He's really been producing high numbers every game, basically. So I like Christian McCaffrey too. I like Rashawn Johnson for value. I think that's a very favorable matchup against Denver. Kind of like the Justin Fields play that you mentioned. Johnson's carries have increased every single week, and I think he's going to eventually take over that number one spot at running back, for the Bears. So I think that, especially if they keep losing, they're going to want to look at what they have for the future and see if Rashawn Johnson can be their lead back. So I think Rashawn Johnson is my favorite value play, especially in tournaments.
Yeah. My value play, go back to that Cleveland game with Deshaun Watson not playing. I like Jerome Ford. He's gotten multiple touchdowns the past 2 weeks. Again, they think they're going to heavily rely on the run. I like Jerome Ford this week.
Okay.
As a value play.
Sure. And then we'll look at wide receiver. My pay-up option at wide receiver, my top pay-up option is kind of 1A, 1B. I like both Keenan Allen and Devontae Adams, but I slightly lean with Keenan Allen. With Mike Williams on IR, Eckler's out. It seems like it's pretty much going to be Justin Herbert and Keenan Allen's show, So I like that matchup for him a lot. He saw 20 targets last week. He had 18 receptions for 215 yards, which was a career high for him. So I'm sure he'll probably regress a little bit. But like I said, with the limited options, I definitely like Keenan Allen. And then, as we mentioned earlier, Devontae Adams running it back on the other side. The Chargers have allowed the most fantasy points to wide receivers this year. And he's really just, the main guy. for the Raiders offense. So they've really struggled getting the run going with Josh Jacobs. You could kind of expect them to mainly lean on him a little bit more with Aiden O'Connell at quarterback, but I still like Devontae Adams. So
yeah, he's matchup proof. He's one to try to get in there all the time. My pay up option for wide receiver is Jamar Chase. He came in pretty strong last week.
He did.
Started seeing Joe Burrow could get him the ball more. I mean, Joe Burrow isn't the guy that he was last year. I mean, he's dealing with that injury, but I think they're getting him the ball a lot this coming game. They're playing Tennessee, 29th against the pass or the receiver. So I like Jamar Chase as my pay up option.
All right.
As far as the value play goes, I like Marvin Mims. Marvin Mims is the guy that so explosive. I think Denver needs to get these guys more involved. And I think Marvin Mims is going to be more involved this game, especially going up against the Bears. I think they're going to find multiple ways to get him the ball on reverses, on on swing passes, on bubble screens, and obviously I think Russell Wilson will go deep to him again this week. So I like Marvin Mims as my value play.
Okay. And I like the revenge narrative a little bit with Adam Thielen. He's been very solid the last couple of weeks. I like him going up against the Vikings. They've allowed the third most fantasy points to wide receivers this year. With Bryce Young back in the lineup, I just like Thielen this week. I think it's a good spot for him. Then we go to tight end. Not a lot of great options to pay up for at tight end. Who do you like the most as far as a pay up option at tight end this week?
I like Kittle. I think Kittle's the guy. Him and Brock Purdy, even at the end of last year. I mean, last week he's got a touchdown. I think he's going to be involved. And Arizona's terrible against the tight end. They've always have been. Yeah. So my pay up option would be Kittle.
Okay. Yeah, I have Kittle as well. He's actually scored a touchdown in his last 3 games against Arizona. In the last 2 games, he had 2 touchdowns in each of those. So he's been putting up huge numbers against Arizona, and I don't see any reason why that wouldn't continue today. So I like that call. What about for a value tight end? Kind of a punt to make your work.
So I'm gonna go back to that the Raiders Chargers game. I'm gonna go with Donald Parham. He's a big target. Herbert loves him in the red zone, and now that Mike Williams is gone for the year, he's just gonna get more of those targets in the red zone. So I like Parham.
You're reading my mind. I've got Parham at value and Kittle at pay up. So my notes are literally like the exact same. He scored 2 touchdowns last week with Mike Williams out. He should continue to be targeted in the red zone. So it's pretty much verbatim what you said. We're right lockstep there with tight end. What about for defense? What do you think is a good play for defense this week?
I think a good play with Deshaun Watson not playing. I like the Ravens defense this week. I think it'll be probably one of the more low scoring games of the week, and I just like what the Ravens can do, especially going up against a second string quarterback. I like the Ravens for sure.
Okay. Obviously, I think San Francisco is pretty obvious for a pay up as far as defense goes. I also like Dallas. I think they're going to bounce back in a big way against the Patriots. They let everybody down last week against Arizona, and I think they're in a great spot again today at home against New England. I think it's a really good spot for them. And then kind of a tournament play, especially on DraftKings where it's only 2,700. The Bills have been one of the top fantasy defenses this year, and like I said, I think Miami will regress some. So I do like the Bills in the tournament play only for defense for value. Last week, I don't know. Did you get a chance to watch our podcast last week?
Parts of it, and then yes.
So we started doing this new thing where we give our lock of the week and then our upset of the week. So I'll go ahead and give mine, and if you have yours, you can give yours. If not, that's okay. My lock of the week is San Francisco over Arizona. My upset of the week is Carolina over Minnesota.
Okay. Nice. That's a good one. My lock of the week would be the Eagles over the Commanders. And my upset of the week is going to be the Texans over the Steelers.
Okay. Nice. I like it. Yeah, I actually use the Eagles in my eliminator, challenge or whatever this.
Yeah, your survival league.
Survival. Yeah. So I was one of the few people that didn't use Dallas last week. So
I know. How many people dropped off in your survival league?
I don't even know off the top of my head, because it's one of those that's like the ESPN, and so there's like thousands and thousands of people, but I think probably like 60% or something. I mean, it was a pretty big number. So yeah.
Well, I'm actually excited to see that game too. It'd be I'd like to see an upset with that. I'd like to see the Patriots beat the Cowboys. But
Cowboys,
we shall see.
Yeah, because I used Kansas City last week, so I thought that was the best play on the whole slate. So yeah, and it's just a really tough matchup for the Bears. All right, and then we have our Prize Picks plays, which I think some of these have gone up since I've made this, but I've got Zach Moss more than 66.5 rushing yards. I think that number's gone up a little bit since I put this out there. Keenan Allen more than 87.5 receiving yards, and then Adam Thielen more than an 11.5 fantasy score. So those would be my top 3 plays on Prize Picks. Did you have a chance to look at Prize Picks at all?
I have not, John.
Okay. That's okay.
I haven't. Yeah.
It's okay.
But I'll put it together before the games.
Yeah. We got about 6 minutes before the inactives come out. Let me see if anyone has any questions in our chat. You think the 49ers will win by more than 14.5? I want to say yes, but I feel like Arizona's kind of been that team that starts out quick and then they struggle in the second half. So it could be a little bit closer than we anticipate. What do you think, Steve? You think they just blow them out?
Oh, it's tough. I mean, it's tough to win by that much in the NFL, even though Miami won by 50 last week. It's just, everyone's pros, and I mean, they are playing at home, and I don't know. I don't think they're going to look at Arizona as, even though it's a divisional game. I don't think they're gonna. I think they're gonna probably not have their foot on the gas the entire time. The 49ers. So
yeah, I think that makes sense.
Which gives me another reason of why I don't think Debo's really going to be playing this week. So I think Brandon Ayuk is another receiver that's coming back. That's going to have a lot of opportunities as well.
I agree with that. Let's see here. Anthony Richardson. What do you think about Anthony Richardson today? Oh, man. I think the Rams defense has been a little better than people thought they would be without Jalen Ramsey. So I don't know. I think it could be a little bit of a struggle for Richardson today, actually.
It is. I believe they have 2 linemen that are out as well. So
yeah. Oh, that's tough.
Yeah, so I think Aaron Donald up there in the middle, I think they're going to try to get the ball out of Richardson's hands really fast. And I actually don't like Richardson as a play today. He's most known for his legs, and I think Sean McVay will put something together in order to make Richardson have to beat him through the air, and I just think that's a recipe for disaster for the Colts.
Yeah, they've allowed the 7th fewest fantasy points to quarterbacks so far this year. The Rams have, so they've been pretty tough on quarterbacks. I would tend to agree. I think it'll be a little bit of a struggle for Richardson. Who's starting quarterback for New Orleans today? Derek Carr.
Derek
that was
Carr,
kind of a surprise. But yeah. Derek Carr is supposed to be back in the lineup. So
he's got his weapon. He's got his weapon back. He's got Kamara back.
what I was gonna say. Speaking of weapons back, Kamara, so I don't think he's gonna get a ton of ownership. I think people will probably be pretty careful with him, but I think Kamara is a good play in GPPs for sure.
Yep. Yeah, I like Kamara. But again, yeah, he's probably not. I don't think he's going to get a ton of volume, but I think he's going to make the most of his volume.
Yeah.
He tends to do pretty well against Tampa Bay, so I like Kamara as well.
Yeah, I would be terrified to play Kamara if Jamal Williams was still, playing and everything, and he wasn't hurt, because he's a vulture when it comes to touchdowns in the goal line. So I think that with Jamal Williams still out, I definitely think Kamara's in play. What do you think about CJ Stroud? I don't know. I think Pittsburgh's a pretty good defense. I don't know if I like CJ Stroud as much today as I have earlier this year.
Yeah. I mean, he's coming out. I don't think he's thrown an interception yet, right?
Stroud? I don't think so.
And he's thrown for over 300. Yeah, he's averaging just over 300 yards every game this year.
Yeah.
It's an interesting play. That's the upset of the week that I have. It's interesting because you don't really look at anyone on the Texans as like a strong play. You don't look at Tank Dell, and you don't really look at Nico Collins and Robert Woods and Damian Pierce, or even their tight ends, Schultz. Schultz is probably one of the biggest names, but he's the one that hasn't really done it. So, but I think it's going to be an interesting game, and I think Stroud is probably the most poised quarterback out of the bunch in this draft. And obviously he's doing the best out of everybody. So I don't know. You might you could throw him in your lineup and for a really good GPP play, and who knows? Yeah. I mean, he hasn't done bad. There hasn't been a game this year that he's done bad. So I wouldn't expect him to get less than 15 points this week. So I don't know.
Yeah, I agree.
At your own risk.
Right. Do we have anybody in the chat that is not currently a member with DFS Coach Talk? I want to do a little giveaway here real quick, impromptu video giveaway. Let's see. If you're not currently a member of DFS Coach Talk, if you would hit 1 in the chat. Stacks, you're not okay. All right. Hit me up on Twitter. Send me a DM, and at DFS Coach Talk, send me a DM, and I'm going to give you a weekly trial here so you can try us out for a week. So I'll get you that coupon code from Brett, and we'll get you hooked up for this week. So congratulations on that winning giveaway. And I think we've got our inactives out, or we should. Any second now. Have you seen anything come across, Steve?
I have not. I'm constantly looking.
Yeah, let me see if we got that, because I kind of wanted to go over that real quick before we head out. Let's see.
Yeah, I've been watching the whole Deshaun situation, the Watson situation, for past couple days now. And says he's not expected to play, but I think he hurt his throwing shoulder. That's the biggest problem with it.
Yeah. Dorian Thompson-Robinson has been confirmed as a starter, so
it's going to be interesting. He's pretty good. He did pretty well in the preseason, and I mean, that's the preseason. Everyone
sure
does all right, but he was pretty good for UCLA last year.
So where are the inactives? I'm looking here. Okay, they're starting to come in now. See if I see anything that stands out. Yeah, Deshaun Watson's officially inactive. Garrett Bradbury, the center for the Vikings, is out. It's pretty big for them. Let's see.
What do you think of the A-Chain's performance last week?
Out of who's?
Devin A-Chain.
Oh, yeah. That was awesome. Man.
It was.
He was awesome. Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do. They've got, Savon Ahmed, and they've got Jeff Wilson coming back. I don't know what they're doing at running back. They're probably going to have to trade some guys or something. Or maybe I'm just hoping the Green Bay fan, we get a running back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because A.J. Dillon is just, I don't know what has happened to him. It's been terrible.
Yeah. A.J., he's got the same problem as Najee Harris. They're just not fast enough.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, now the inactives are starting to come in. Treylon Burks is out for the Titans. Let's see. Justin Simmons is out for the Broncos. Foster Moreau, Paulson Adebo are out for Cesar Ruiz are out for the Saints.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it seems like they're just kind of trickling in here. See if anything big happens to pop up.
You see how they're playing this current game with the Toy Story or the animation.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, what in the world? I went to Disney Plus and checked that out for a second. I was like, whoa, this is wild.
Uh-huh.
It's like a video game,
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
pretty funny. But it's cool, for kids to be able to watch and learn the game a little bit. So
yeah, for sure.
For that. So I don't see, I'm not seeing any more inactives other than those few that I mentioned so far. Check one more time before we get out of here. Claypool is officially inactive. Eddie Jackson's inactive. Jalen Johnson is inactive. Dante Foreman is inactive. So Dante Foreman is, I believe, a healthy scratch along with Claypool.
Yep.
Which is interesting.
That whole running back situation is interesting too. You want to throw one of those guys in just based off of what Miami did to Denver last week, but I think most of that's going to go to Fields.
Yeah. Yeah. Laramie Tunsil's out for Houston. Let's see. The Ravens have some major. They have Rashad Bateman, Odell Beckham, Marlon Humphrey, Odafe Owe, Ronnie Stanley, and Marcus Williams. Those guys are all out for the Ravens. So, they've got a lot of injuries.
Biggest one is probably Stanley.
Mm-hmm.
And Humphrey.
D-Hop or Sutton, Gabe Davis, or T. Higgins? I would probably go with Sutton against Chicago, and I like Gabe Davis this week. I think that
who was the other one? Gabe Davis or who?
Gabe Davis or T. Higgins, which T. Higgins is not a bad play either, but I like Gabe Davis personally.
Yep, I like Gabe Davis too.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Miami will focus more on Diggs, and Davis will have some good opportunities today. So, All right, guys. Well, that is going to do it for our Week 4 podcast. We will be back again next week, probably in our normal Thursday slot, just depending on how everyone's schedule is looking, possibly on Saturday or Sunday. We'll let you know. But hope everybody has an awesome Sunday. Let's absolutely crush it. And we'll be back again next week as we do look to crush it in NFL, DFS, and Prize Picks. Thank you.